Zo, we zijn er. Lawless. Moeten we nog even langs deze meneer?
Stop. You got your ticket? Perfect.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Hier de raarste mensen die je tegenkomt. De belevenissen van Lawless. Dit is altijd leuk, want dit is een loterij waar je loodjes kan kopen voor een goed doel. En dan kan je wat winnen. Dat gaan we al straks doen. Nu nog niet, want we gaan eerst naar binnen. Nou, deze meneer hebben we net ook al gezien. Het is voor een hotelconventie is het een lekker ouderwets druk. Great house. We lopen gewoon even een rondje.
Small intro, and it's you only ask questions.
Ja, ik ga meneer Higgins nog eventjes scoren. En als je denkt, wat is die druk? Dit is de legende John Higgins. Nee, John Higgins, John Walker. En hier is het nog drukker. De man Simon Bisey. En er staan aardig wat mensen voor in de rij. Aardig wat mensen, wauw.
Sorry? Have you already read it?
No, I did not.
Yeah.
Is it good?
Yeah, I really liked it.
On the cover, okay?
Yeah, that would be brilliant. Thank you so much. What is that?
This is Mon, who's a cousin of Nom. Nom is from the band Ten. In fact, I'll tell you what, I'll give you one of these, and then you can have a look at it later.
Cool. Thank you so much.
Nice one.
Fabry, how are you doing, Glen?
Yep, sort of working hard over here at Lawless, which is the 16th Lawless apparently.
For yourself?
I haven't been to all 16 of them, but quite a significant amount. I think, well, obviously there wasn't one over COVID and sort of stuff like that. But there's, I think there was a couple that I haven't been to, but I think I've been to most of them.
You had quite a health scare a couple of months ago.
Yeah, well,
How are you
basically
now?
sort of.
I don't know that one. What is it?
At the beginning of March, I was losing loads of weight and I couldn't keep any food down or, sort of drink anything without throwing up. So I thought I'd go along to see the doctor. And the doctor at the sort of Esplanade surgery on the Isle of Wight, he did the stuff with the stethoscope and, poked me in my various bits. And sort of told me that I should give some blood and he sent it down to the hospital. And what I had to do at the hospital was go for a series of tests. So you have the CAT scan and you had, you know, X-rays, and they took some blood, loads of blood, as a matter of fact. My blood was considered funny. We got hilarious blood, and they had enough blood off of me to fill a St. Bernard, you know. So yeah, we go along and do all these tests and everything like that. I'm not feeling any better. So they give me a course of about 20 tablets that I take on a daily basis. And some of these things, there was like a tablet called Zapane. Like Zapane. So it looks like zap pain, I'm going to zap you, you know, sort of thing. But it's like a sleeping tablet, you know, essentially speaking. It kills the pain, but you just faint. You know, so I couldn't get any work done. I was having to go to the hospital, which is like 15 miles away from where we live, on the other way. And neither me or Karen drive. And I was too weak to walk to the bus.
Wow.
You know, most of the time to get to the hospital. So I had to basically stagger. Yeah, anyway. So I went on to the hospital, did all the tests, all that kind of thing. But for 3 weeks, yeah, the doctor sort of said to me, you've got between 1 year and 2 years to live. So for 3 weeks, he was talking about going to the cancer tests and all this kind of stuff. And, you know, colonoscopy, bloody everything. Any single fluid they could abstract from my poor corpse. They fucking took it out and stuck it in a bottle somewhere and tested it. So for 3 weeks, yeah, I basically thought I was dying of cancer. Because I've been sort of smoking since I was 16 years old and all this kind of stuff, which isn't a good idea, by the way.
Your kids out there.
You kids out there, if you're 16 years old, don't start smoking. And vape's no good either. Anyway. So yeah, all that kind of stuff like sort of basically happened. But about 11 days ago, I finally got my results back from the hospital. And the results were no cancer.
And you went like, whoa!
I was like, what? No, I was completely astounded. But no, apparently I'm completely cancer-free.
Congratulations.
As far as the tests are concerned. I mean, I've still got to go in the middle of next month. I've still got to get my funny blood sorted out. And I've got sort of problems with my bones. And, you know, I've got to do an MDA sort of medical examination of some kind or another, where they spend ages poking you with sticks, I would have thought.
But now you got a new lease on life. Do you have something like something you want to accomplish? Because you did like your back oeuvre is like crazy.
I've done quite a lot.
Yeah.
I've been working, you know. I've actually been in print since I was, or even before 2000 AD. I started in 2000 AD when I was about 23, I think. But even before then, I think the first time I was in print, it was actually self-published. I was 16, and then I ended up working for the Stranglers,
The group.
the punk rock group from Britain. I worked for them for about 4 years. Up at Chaplin Studios, they had a magazine called Strangled, and you know, I just ended up meeting Jack Black. His real name isn't Jack Black, funny enough, the drummer from the Stranglers. Ended up sort of knowing his brother Paul Duffy through a bizarre series of coincidences. Well, how long is this going to last? This
Keep it small. Keep it small.
it's talking. Well, you know, unfortunately, this story kind of goes on forever. Now, so what it is? Anyway, I met Paul Duffy, brother of Jack Black, and basically he said to me, what do you do? And I said, I'm a cartoonist, because that was what I wanted to do while I was at art college. And I was still at art college, you know, sort of thing, at the time. Still, I think I left, what was it? Yeah, I left when I was 20. That was when I left art college. And at that point, I just wanted to be a cartoonist, so like proper cartoons, like Mad magazine, not like a well, not like comics with, you know,
Yeah.
where you've got all the anatomy right and you've got superhero types wandering around and, you know, fabulous women with massive tits wearing steel bikinis. You know, I wanted to do like sort of cartoons, you know, sort of funny characters doing wacky things, like in Mad magazine. That was, you know, my ideal. And I did end up working for Mad magazine.
Wow.
Yeah,
Didn't know that.
yeah, I did a couple of covers for them and things like that. And the guy at Mad magazine, I sort of said to him, after I did this cover, which is all about sex addicts in America, including David Duchovny and Hulk Hogan. Gene Simmons of a Kiss. Yeah, there was another one. And, you know, a couple of American politicians I never heard of in my life. But anyway, they sent me reference for those guys. But anyway, so I did this quite cartoony strip for the Stranglers called Jack in Black. And I decided to base him on, you know, like the world's most serious Stranglers fan. So everything they were writing about in the magazine that month, they sent me a list of stuff, and I'd try and come up with some stupid ideas. I was still living with my parents at the time, and every now and again, my mum would go, "Glenn, it's that rock star on the phone for you," and it was Jean-Jacques Brunel, who liked my cartoons and my stupid ideas and stupid jokes. So yeah, that lasted for about 4 years. I think I used to go to rock star parties every Christmas, which was quite exciting.
Can imagine.
Yeah. So the last one I went to, they had a massive sculpture of an ear, which was, this ear is about like sort of completely white, it was about 12 foot tall, and it was in the room where everybody was. And they're all there drinking sake, because Jean-Jacques, like, you know, Japanese culture and all this kind of thing. Well, I can remember drinking so much sake that I accidentally fell into the giant ear. And there's some photos somewhere with the giant ear with my feet sticking out of it.
I won't take a lot of your time. We need to go back. You finished my drawing. But I got one more thing that I really wanted to ask. And we touched about it earlier on. I'm still a big fan of Preacher. And whenever I read the letters page or the editorial page, you came on as this big guy you don't want to fuck with. How is that possible? Because you're the sweetest guy.
I don't know about the sweetest guy, but I'm not very big. You know, I'm sort of 5 at the moment. Well, I'm about 5'9", and I weigh 8 stone 4 pounds. Had to put on some weight since all the illness and whatnot. I'm going to put on even more, apparently. But yeah, when Garth started replying things, he wanted to reply to all the letters in Preacher, and he just decided that he decided that he wanted to do was make me a foul-mouthed tough nut. So if everyone went to conventions or whatnot, people would be expecting Jack Reacher or somebody to walk through the door.
But that was actually the first time I met you a couple of years ago. That was my thought of you, like this big guy, like surly, like yeah. Come on, yeah, I want. But again, you're the total opposite of that.
Oh. Thank you.
That was a compliment. Hey, do you still read comics?
Yeah, it used to be easier when I was on what they called the comps list.
Yep.
Because if I was on the comps list there was a point when I was on the comps list for DC and Marvel, and they just used to send me everything that they printed that month, and it would kind of arrive in these big boxes. And it was just like too much stuff. It was tons and tons and tons of it. So I go through the big boxes and pick up the things I wanted to have a look at. And the rest of the stuff I'd take down to one of the comic shops in Brighton, where I was living at the time. It was not Fantastic Store. I forgot
the other
name
one.
of it ages ago, years and years. But anyway, I take the big box down and, you know, get paid 90 quid or whatever.
It's a nice side hustle.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I think the last comics that I read were minute. The last ones that I read that I really enjoyed were...
It's kind of hard putting you on the spot like this.
Yeah, well, it's... there's only... Well, there used to be 2 comic shops in the Isle of Wight where I've been living for the last 7 years. Basically, because the Isle of Wight is the warmest part of all of Great Britain.
Yep.
And while I was in Belfast, they used to have to send me to the lung ward every Christmas because you get some sort of disease or another. But there were quite a few things that... Yeah, it's the only chance I get to see what's coming out recently. And
Do you still keep up with 2080?
yeah, pretty much. I still, good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, every now and again I'll pick up 2000 AD and read through some of the things and sort of check out the competition, 'cause it's still going. I think, the last things I did for 2000 AD, actually it's been quite a while since I did anything for them. But I did a couple of future shocks, one of which got really good reviews, and the other one not quite so good reviews.
You win some, you lose some.
Exactly. But I also did one of the varied covers for the 2000 edition of 2000 AD, and one was coloured by Ryan Brown, the artist from Belfast, who I knew from over in Belfast. Yeah. And so I did the drawing and he did the colours for it. Anyway, that sold out completely, the one with me and Ryan's cover. It sold better than the alternative covers. And it was the first copy of 2000 AD to sell out completely that they had in years.
And it gave you a nice bonus?
You don't get bonuses from leading rebellion. No, you don't. You hardly ever get royalty checks or anything through them. Hardly ever, literally, seriously. But anyway, what they did is they got my original black and white drawing without covered by Ryan Brown, and they reprinted that, and that sold out completely as well. So they should be, you never know, I might go back and do something for 2000 AD, but nothing in the offing at the moment. At the moment I'm doing a book called Claudia Christian's Dark Legacies, which is like a comic book sequel to Babylon 5, really, television program. I've done a book called The Essentials, which, not Luke Arnold, trying to remember his name, is the actor who plays Long John Silver in the TV series Black Sails. Yep. So basically I'm doing stuff for people who have been in long-lasting television programs who are now out of work. But yeah, so there's The Essentials, Black Sails, and Claudia Christensen. And yeah, there's a couple of other things that I'm sort of working on. Basically more kind of comic book.
Still chugging along.
I haven't been, trying to go for that many single illustrations and that kind of thing. I still want to do comics because I've always enjoyed doing comics ever since I was little. When I was a little boy of about 5 years old, and I went to the hospital because I was ill, like I've been most of my bleeding life. So anyway, go to the hospital, and your parents are only allowed to see you 1 day a week, and that day was Saturday. And that was the NHS back then. This is in 1966. So it's going back to the days of the Beatles. So what they do is, because they knew I could read, I could read and write when I was like 3, they sort of bring me along all of these comics. But what they wanted was like comics that would educate me. So there was some that they bring, like the Beano and Wizard and Chips, which are like children's things, like kids' comics. And the other ones were things like Look and Learn,
With the great
which
Don
is-
Lawrence.
With the great Don Lawrence as one, and Frank Bellamy was also there as well, and Ron Embleton.
Yep.
You know, there's a list of about 5 or 6 all-time brilliant British artists, and John M. Burns. God, these people are so good. Jim Holdaway, fuck's sake. Got to check out all of these people. They're incredible. And I decided that, because I read them, they bring them on the Saturday. Sunday morning, I'd finish reading them all. So there weren't any more comics, so I decided I'd make my own. So I borrowed some paper and a biro off of one of the nurses, and I started doing some drawings, and it turned out that I was quite good at drawing. So, while I was at hospital or whatever, I made up my own comics.
And fast forward 2025, you're cancer free and you're sketching and talking at Lawless. How cool is that?
Yeah.
How cool is that?
Yep.
Thank you so much, sir.
All right, pleasure, mate.
Because I can work around, I can make sure that there's nothing really important.
It goes like, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking it. It's like this one. It's the first time actually.
Nou, wat hebben we hier? Micronauts, Neymar.
I'm so chuffed. I want a pineapple. Yeah, and I was so chuffed that I chucked it all up. Luckily, I know it's just a reaction.
We zijn hier met Doug Braithwaith. Did I pronounce it rightly?
Braithwaith.
Braithwaith. I was kind of in the neighborhood.
You're not far.
How are you doing? How's the con treating you?
Con's been great. So it's the first con that I've done since, before lockdown. So kind of dipped my toe back in the water again. And, it's been great. Fantastic. It's like an old school comic UCAT convention.
Very old school.
Yeah. It's familiar faces, people I haven't seen for such a long time. But it has that kind of vibe about it. It's very, very old school. So it's been good.
So you did a lot of 2000 AD?
Back in the day when I first started out, when I first started working for RBK, about a month or so after I started RBK, I started doing 2080 work. I probably worked for them on and off for about a year and a half. I did little jobs in between, but I started working for America at the same time. So, when I had the opportunity, when it arose, I did some work for 2008. Not as much as I would have liked. I would have liked to have carried on a bit more.
I discovered you through Universe X.
Oh yeah.
And I remember being in a comic book because you had really big shoes to fill because everybody thought Alex Ross was drawing it. How was it to follow up someone who is iconic in artwork, and you do something that is different?
Well, to be honest with you, I was following on from Jean-Paul Leon,
Of course.
Did the first arc of that Earth 8 series. He was a wonderful artist, and he really set the bar for the whole series. Alex and Jim came up with the concepts and the construct for the whole series. Alex came up with the designs and everything, but the interior work was me and Bill Reinhardt. It was there was no real pressure to me at the time. It was a huge series, and I didn't realise how important it was until I started going to shows sometime later, and people's reactions to the series, especially in Europe, it was pretty amazing.
But it was a huge project. I remember Marvel really putting a lot behind the book, and dealing with really kind of strong concepts, and it was an opportunity to draw all these classic storylines, reinterpret these storylines, and to draw virtually every Marvel character in the whole canon. So yeah, it was great in that respect. I mean, I really enjoyed it, and it was hard work.
And do you have a favorite Marvel character?
I had a discussion with somebody about this yesterday. I think when I start out, and you're young, you have your real iconic characters. Spider-Man,
Of course.
is the one I always go to. Nowadays, I've got no favourites really, because I've been fortunate to have drawn them all. I love aspects of all of them. There's certain aspects of them. But yeah, Spider-Man's my first character, my first love, and it still is. I have to admit.
You did an iconic series on Punisher.
Yes, thank you.
That was also groundbreaking. So if you see world building Earth X, and then boots on the ground Punisher, it's something completely different, and your style looked the same but different.
Yeah, I always try and adapt my style to suit the story.
Yeah.
So my techniques remain the same, but I try and bring a certain look to the storylines that I think are suitable. It's like at the moment I'm doing a series where I'm using a more grittier line because the story's more fantastical. But with the Punisher, it's totally different to superhero stuff in my eyes.
Yeah.
So when you superhero stuff, you have to go for more kind of smoother line.
Yeah.
Punisher has got to be gritty.
You were knocking it out of the park with Conan, and halfway through the story, your first issue, I went like, I know this artist.
Yeah.
And then I looked at the credits and went, huh? Again, a totally different style, but recognizable. Were you a Conan fan?
Oh yes, yeah. To be honest with you, I kind of read what I read. When I was growing up as a kid in the UK, we used to have black and white reprints.
Yeah.
So that's my first experience.
Like the Seven Sword of Conan 60p books.
Yeah, but even before then, they did a weekly, probably about 1977, 78. They did a weekly reprints of the Barry Smith stuff, basically from the first issue. And I think that ran for about 20 issues or so. So that's my first introduction to the character. And then obviously, when you went for when you read the color comics, it's like Buscema. That's
The be all end all. Buscema and Ernie Chan.
No.
Ernie Chan did the inks.
Oh yeah.
And they were just the Seventh Sword of Conan
They're my
inks.
favorites.
They are so good.
People tend to gravitate towards the Alcala and Bristol, which is beautiful stuff.
Yep.
And it's really kind of high art in my eyes. But the Chan Buscema version in the early Conan the Barbarians I like Buscema's version of Conan.
Yeah.
I just thought he looked more his hair is like a mane, and he's really bulky but still lithe. I think during the rest of the series, kind of toned it, he slimmed him down a lot more, made him more athletic. It's still beautiful. I mean, amazing stuff. I have a soft spot for those early Chan Buscema.
One regret I have in my comic life, the first American con I went to in the beginning of 2000, I met Ernie Chan at a Wizard World, and he was really friendly, and I was so starstruck. The only thing I could have, I really like your comics, sir, and then I walked away.
We've all been there.
And I went like, oh my God.
No, I did the same thing. I met John Buscema in the early 90s. He came over to a convention here, and he's my hero. And one day in the lobby, I was walking through my then girlfriend, who's now my wife, and John Buscema was just standing there, and people were just walking past. No one was going near him or anything, and I just froze. And I said, oh, I want to go up to him and say hello, but I would have been like you. I'd have been like just diarrhea would have come out of my mouth. But my wife, she didn't really know anything about comics, but she saw how it meant to me. She kind of dragged me over there and introduced me to it. And it was great. I spent about an hour and a half with him.
Oh, wow.
Sitting, talking. So that's my highlight of my career in the business. I haven't actually a chance to sit down and talk to one of my heroes, and he was a lovely guy as well.
Did you show him your work? Did he know you?
Well, funny enough, I had my portfolio with me. I just started working for Marvel US. And I was working on The Punisher, coincidentally. And my wife, I couldn't say anything. My wife had the portfolio and said, "This is what he does." And I was just looking at him. And he was a bit like, well, okay, let's take a look. And he says, oh, right, okay. He says, I know you. And he said,
How cool is that?
I know. And, I'd only literally just started working for Marvel US. So I think that's why he gave me a bit of time. He sat down with me and talked. So I just basically listened to his stories. And it was wonderful. Talked about, what it was like working with Marvel in the 60s and the 70s. But just to be able to sit down in his presence was highlight my career.
And now all of a sudden you're the main drawer of a Conan series.
Yeah, one of the main artists for me. I kind of switched with Rob De La Torre, who's another wonderful artist.
I really love what Roberto does, because I met him through the Tarzan miniseries,
you met him,
and I went like, whoa, this guy is just like John Buscema, and I thought it was really clonish.
Yeah.
But what he did with Conan, he did his own little flair.
Rob's he's a fantastic artist and a great storyteller. I think his love of Buscema obviously shines through, but his knowledge of storytelling and his draftsmanship is, superb. So, he brings his own thing to it as well as people tend to look too much at the surface gloss of his work. There's a lot more going on underneath. I really admire what he's done.
His way of directing the reader where to look, I really love.
Yeah, his compositions are beautiful. He understands the flow of comics. And he knows how to tell stories. That's what comics is about. Telling stories. And he's a master at it. So,
And you're kind of good also.
Not bad.
How long are you planning? Are you going to stay in Conan? After the story arc?
I think I'll be staying around for quite a while.
Nice.
I seem very happy with what we've been doing so far. And I'm loving working on the characters. It's just feels like a natural fit for me.
What do you think about the Seven Swords of Conan new series that they did, like the really old school magazines? I really love it.
No, it's great. I like the fact that they're trying to replicate that old feel, even with the paper quality and everything. It's still early days, but I mean, you've got fantastic artists contributing to the series.
The Liam Sharp one in the last issue, it blew me away.
Yeah.
But do you see yourself doing something like that?
Well, I'm actually doing a Savage Sword at the moment. I can't tell you when it's coming out or anything, but I'm pleased as punch.
The funny thing was, last year, on this convention, Liam was here, or it was Todd, I think this one. And Liam showed me his work that he did. He just finished for Seven Swords of Conan, like a quick pick. And it took over a year, so it got published. Do you have any other ambitions that I really want to do that?
Other ambitions in comics?
In comics, or movies, or screenplays, or books?
Yeah, I think when the moment arises. I think at the moment I'm just focusing mainly on, just enjoying the moment, working with Heroic and Titan, doing Conan. And as I said, I'm going to be there for the long haul. Who knows what's going to happen after that? But I've got friends in the film and TV business. They're always asking me to contribute and help, do storyboards, concepts. And I have done that in the past, and I do enjoy it. But my heart's in comics. I love comic books and telling stories. So, I think I'll be here for a while, before I decide to step away from it.
In closing, what are the books you read right now that are really worth reading?
Oh gosh,
I know it's pretty hard. Every time I put a comic artist on the spot like this, they always go like, so you're not the first one.
No, all right, I'll be frank and I'll be honest with you. I've not been to a comic shop for years.
Shame on you.
No, it's just it is what it is. I think when you're working constantly, and it takes a while for me to get to the nearest comic shop anyway from where I live. It's very difficult to try and to know where to look. I walk into a comic shop now, I'm like a fan, or somebody's walks into a comic shop for the first time. There's so much new product out there. I don't know what to go for. Even if I look at stuff that I'm familiar with, it's changed so much from what it was like when I was a kid. I tend to kind of read. I've got a huge book collection, so I'm starting to go back through a lot of my old books that I read that have been on shelves for years. And you just forget about them. So I'm going back reading through those, and there's some fantastic stuff. So I'm reading book and illustrators from the 40s and 30s, and old strip illustrators.
You get inspiration from that?
Yeah. That's the stuff I get inspiration from more than anything else. There's some fantastic comic artists out there, but my inspiration is illustration. Real craftsmen. That's basically. I just look back at even the old Marvel reprints or DC reprints. I get a lot more enjoyment out of reading those in collected format than knowing where to start with a new comic series.
And it's pretty hard. If you pick up a Spider-Man issue, latest issue of Spider-Man, which is brilliant, you will probably get lost because of all the backstory, the continuity.
Exactly, and that's just go to stuff that's going to give me pleasure.
And that is what's cool. That is what's cool with Conan. There is a continuity, but there's really not. Like that I really love about Conan. Yeah. I'm also a big fan, as you probably noticed. Yeah,
I think the guys at Heroic, Jim's, all the contributors, they're all on the same page. They want to go back to the source material and kind of work on stories, build stories around the source material, but try to stay true to what Robbie and Howard wanted to put out there. So that's a fun thing for me. So everybody's pulling in the same direction. We're all on the same page, and it's great fun.
Good luck. Now we'll be getting you back to
I'll get back to
my
drawing.
Drawing of Conan.
Yes, I'll start working that for you now.
Thank you so much for the interview, and good luck with your Conan. Looking forward to the other books.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ik weet niet waarom, maar dit is ook een ding met Lawless. Dit klinkt als een mop. Hoeveel dinosaurussen kunnen er in een lift?
Right, I'll see you downstairs. No, come on, come out. Can you imagine if you went upstairs and someone opened that lift and you guys came out? Go on, let's go upstairs. Let's send it upstairs. Go on, get in. Go on, go to the top floor.
Hi. Master at work.
You can keep that pen if you want to. Just keep it. You can have an England one. No, actually, I don't want it back. No, you keep it. No, that's right. Yeah, keep it. Oh, you still
I would swear at you, but I'm a lady.
Oh, okay, yeah. I nearly said something there, but...
But a one-sided before when you've been there.
You what?
But a one-sided before when you were there. And that was you, Brian, and Kevin O'Leary.
Oh, really?
That was a long, long while
Kevin
ago.
O'Leary, oh my God, he was a master,
That
wasn't
was
he?
20-something years ago, that was. Forbidden Planet. Round the back, there's a little building round the back of Forbidden Planet.
Amazing, wasn't it?
Boy, that portfolios and portfolios of his work. As everyone says, over retirement soon.
It's not good for you. It's not
You
good
never
for
know.
you.
Did you try it?
Look, you never know, trust me. Over the years I drank it. By mistake. By mistake. Anybody got some water? Water. It's very nice of you. Let it dry. Let it dry.
The great Simon Bisley, ladies and gentlemen. Are you happy with it?
Yeah,
Looks smashing.
It's absolutely fantastic.
First drawing of the day.
Thank you, Simon.
So speeds up as it goes along. Thank you. My pleasure.
Nou, ik ben met een nieuw project bezig. Dat is deze blank variant. En daar wil ik snelle remarks op hebben. En Williams die gaat de allereerste doen. Dat is de Batman.
No, just wait for my signature.
Het is de bedoeling om vol te krijgen met allemaal kleine tekeningen. Hoe is dat?
Don't do it to change this. I have to. Cheers, buddy. Thank you.
I'd love to tell you I think
En het heeft trouwens ook een waanzinnig toffe kunstje voor gemaakt.
I flew back down to the Comic Con and never turned up. Yes, it'll be everything now.
Have you ever drawn these characters?
Yeah, lots and lots. Yeah, I through the 90s. I mean, there's some of my Batman stuff in there, but I did Superman, Batman. I did two complete series of books called Scare Tactics and Fate. Lots of Justice League, that sort of stuff. So there you go.
Thank you so much.
No problem.
De 77. Dat is een comic uitgeverij en die doet dingen net even iets anders. En I'm here. Don't be afraid. I will talk English.
I'm waiting. Yeah, I need to learn some Dutch.
No, you don't. It's pretty hard. Hey, how are you doing?
Yeah, not too bad. It's good to meet you today.
Very good to meet you. For our audience, your name?
So my name's Steve Ball, otherwise known as Bully. Part of the 77. I'm a co-creator of the comic, also a writer, and I put together books for lots of people, including this book here, which we were just discussing.
And this book is brilliant. Ian Gibson, for the people who don't know, he's a legend.
Legend, yeah, British legend from the 60s onwards. Sadly passed away in 2023 in December, and this is the last book he ever produced with me. It was a labour of love, and it's you'll see some absolutely beautiful artwork in here. So
don't drop it. It's my copy.
Oh, sorry. Let's go. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the book. So right here. So this here, this version starts with actually the eulogy that I read out at his funeral. So he's an artist and a friend who had an amazing effect on my life, and a lot of people in Britain who read comics. So you can see here we've got legendary letterer Annie Parkhouse. It was written and illustrated by Ian Gibson. I was the director of the book, and then we've got art director, creative design, Brendan Wright, who's out in the Netherlands. Let's look at some of the artwork on here. Each of these pages, don't worry about that, I'll get that after. So a little intro and then we'll go into the book. Each of these pages are fully painted artboard. Gouache was his favourite paint, and you'll see beautiful things. He's famous, you might have heard of him in the Netherlands from Halo Jones. Yep. That was a very popular book. He was one of the original artists on Judge Dredd, etc., which I know you've heard of.
Yep, definitely.
So you'll see, it's just wonderful stuff all the way through. And he's actually scripted book 2 and part scripted book 3. at the end we even take you through the process shots. These are the kind of things that I love to read at the end of books. So we've got character designs, we've got process shots of how he does his work, all the different stages, underpainting through to finished artwork. It's just a collector's dream. We've got a forward in here from John Wagner, I think it is.
Yeah, John Wagner.
Created Dread and all sorts of wonderful projects. So that is, I believe, a hidden gem.
It's definitely a hidden gem. Can you talk a little bit about the journey? Because you said it was kind of emotional.
Yeah,
very
so it's an emotional one. So I've known Ian for probably a couple of decades, and before that, as a child, I remember going and getting his signature on books as a comic collector as a kid. So we became friends maybe about 15, 20 years ago. Always been in touch with comic projects, but sadly his health declined to the point that in 2023 he reached out. I'd actually been trying to get him to add this strip into our regular comic, but in 2023 he explained his medical situation and that he wanted to publish the book, and I said, okay, I'm going to make you this wonderful book, and that's what we did. We embarked on the project to the point that it became a bit of a race against time because cancer was sadly affecting him quite considerably. We got to a point, managed to work with him on it to a point where when we got it printed, I delivered the copies to him in hospital, and it was a really poignant moment. It was really emotional for both of us. He was incredibly grateful, but I felt proud that I could actually help him achieve this just before, what was unfortunately the end. But yeah, that was emotional thinking about it, to be fair.
Yeah, I can see. If people are looking at this now and said, I want to have this, it's pretty hard to get English books in the UK books in the Netherlands. Do you guys mail order? Or?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we'll mail order worldwide. We're the 77comic.net. Okay, so look at there, the 77comic.net, all one word, and you'll find all of our comics there. You'll find Lifeboat there, and we ship across the world. So
let's talk about a little bit about the 77.
Okay, fine, let's do it. So 77 is a collection of creatives in the UK that got together in 2019 decided to launch a one-off comic book on Kickstarter crowdfunding. We've got, I can show you the version. We haven't got the exact first version of it, but this is issue 1, how it looks today. The original one was a 72-page comic, kickstarted, was very popular to the point where we were kind of forced to make more. So,
kind of forced,
yeah. So when you're passionate about something and the people around you are passionate and they're asking you to do more of it, you got to listen to the people, right? So now we've embarked, we're at issue 11, so we go all the way through to issue 10 now. Issue 11 is on Kickstarter at the moment, but by the time this airs, I'm sure it would have finished. So I think it finishes in about 3 days. And then that'll be for public consumption on the 77comic.net. Since then, we've also made books with the likes of Pat Mills, John Wagner, Ian Gibson. We've done horror. We've got a horror anthology called This Comic is Haunted, which I'll take you down there in a moment. We work with a legendary editor, Steve McManus, on a very historic artifact comic called Blazer.
And to give a little more background, because nobody in the Netherlands will probably know Steve. He's kind of like the Stan Lee of British comics, right?
Yeah, I think that's a fair comparison, to be fair. Yeah, so we've had a comic from the 60s, etc., called Action, and we had 2000 AD, which is still going to this day. He was editorial on both of those comics, along with a whole hell of a lot more. So it's kind of got his place in British comics history. And now as a retired comic creator, we do a little bit of work with him to create his comic, Blazer. Yeah, take it down so you can see.
Yeah, sure.
Let's have a
little walkabout.
So sadly he's not at his table at the moment, but this is Blazer. So we go from issue 1, 2, 3, 4. We're now working on an annual, which will be our next Kickstarter project. That will be kickstarting in June, I believe.
You got a point. I love that about the British. There is no comic table.
Yeah, look at this. This is
completely lit.
Wherever you go, you're going to see a pint somewhere next to a bunch of comics, right? Here's our stand. So we'll get to this book in a moment because it's just over here. We then went to Junior Comics all ages. So we went for the fun comics. So if you're a reader of the Beano, etc., you've got creators who work on the Beano here. It's a really good opportunity to get children reading comics from an early age. We've got a graffiti artist, a local graffiti artist here, who's quite famous on the scene, produces his comic as well. So we do that, then we moved along into Pandora. So this is kind of more of a grown-up, thoughtful sci-fi comic. So we've only produced one of these so far, but there's clamour for more. We have Anna Morozova has done the cover on this. She's doing Barbarella currently for Boom Comics, I believe.
No, Dynamite.
Is it?
Probably
okay.
Dynamite.
Right, Dynamite, you might be right. Yeah.
If not, comment us below
I
that we will both
corrected.
run.
Yeah. So we did Star Nerve here.
This looks awesome.
So that's her doing this Star Nerve. I say this is one of my favourite comics that we do actually, and I didn't do anything to do with it. I haven't written anything or was editorial on this. So. But beautiful. Then you've got here, so it goes through lots of different stories, but there's some based around grief. There's some. This one's one of my favourite. The protagonist is an autistic child who's fighting zombies, basically. Incredible stuff in here. So I would say look out for that one.
Nice.
And then we move along to our latest book, which the creator isn't around at the moment as well. It is Red by Night, Black by Day. So for your audience, there's an area of the UK called Birmingham.
Yeah,
the Midlands.
We know about Birmingham.
Right, the Midlands. So, okay, have you ever seen a show called Peaky Blinders?
Yeah, of course.
All right, okay, so I call this Peaky Goblins, yeah, that's its joke, right? So in here, we've got a lot of history built into this, a lot of magic, we've got goblins. It's a real labour of love from the writer. Fantastic artwork.
Nice.
That's our latest book. I highly recommend that. Again, available on the website. And then we'll go through to Haunted, so the horror comics. So here we go. This comic is Haunted. So it's gone from being, I think it was 32 pages originally, and the last one we did was like a special. So it's a nice fat book.
Looks nice.
There we go.
Oh wow.
So this is one of my favourite. I see in stock for at the moment. So look at that artwork. So he's a traditional painter that loves comics, so we get the magic from him. And again, it's all anthologies generally that we do, apart from when we put the books together. So you're going to get different styles. We suddenly switch from fully painted to black and white. But it's a truly great book. I really enjoy reading these ones. Again, one of the ones I don't have anything to do with. So I think that's nicer sometimes. You can just pick up a comic and just appreciate it for what it is.
I'd be surprised.
So it's a wonderful. One of the things we do is just we're so high on quality that you're going to see different styles.
Are you going to flip it?
Let's go. Yep. There you go. Right. Read it from both ends, and then you get a story that makes sense in the middle.
Really cool. And they're all available at
the77comic.net. Okay. I'll say it again. The77comic.net.
Bye.
I want to see lots of hits. Go in there. Let's go. Cool.
Cheers, thank you mate.
Thanks a lot for your time.
Lawless 2025 is in de boeks, zoals we hier zeggen. Onwijs toffe con gehad. Ondergedompeld in de Britse stripcultuur. Gigantisch toffe gesprekken gehad. Nou, die heb je gezien, onder andere met Doug Braithwaith. Dat is helemaal te gek. Die heeft een Conan voor gemaakt. Out of this world. En Glen Fabry, nog aardig wat leuke mensen allemaal. Kan je echt aanraden om hier een keer langs te komen als je een andere Comic Con wil doen dan eigenlijk dat je kent. We gaan hier nog een filmpje maken, dat gaan we bij Giel thuis doen. En daar ga ik laten zien wat ik allemaal gekocht heb. En ik ben echt super blij hoe ik dat thuis krijg. Akira gaat in ieder geval niet mee. Als je nou denkt, huh? Nou, dan moet je binnenkort maar eventjes op ons YouTube kanaal bekijken waarom. En nu heb ik gigantisch honger. We waren hier om 9 uur. Ik heb sindsdien niet meer gegeten. En we gaan eten bij Pasture. Als je ooit in Bristol bent, Pasture is the place to be. En doe er dan de bitterballen. De bitterballs. Die zijn echt to die for.